In every church or place of worship, there's usually a focal point, whether it's a painting or whether it is a cross, whether it is a bima with the scrolls of the Torah, whether it is an arrangement of flowers. There's frequently something that you focus your attention on when you're looking towards the front of the building. If you're in a church which is set up to be a visual experience, this church is set up as an auditory. It is set up as a place where you can hear. Because of the way the pews are organized in the 18th century, many people couldn't see, but you could hear, partly because of the geometric balance, partly because of the construction. Wherever you are, you can hear, even if you can't see. There is a place in the rector's pew with the pulpit where the priest or clergy person speaks, and so that gives you something to listen to. We do have something to look at. There is a table in the East End, which the colonials would have called the Holy Table. The word altar would have been way too papist. And it was just a table for the elements of bread and wine, which are part of the service of Holy Communion, which they would have every 3 or 4 times a year. Behind the table are tablets. And according to the canon law, which is the law of the church, the 1604 canon calls for the 10 Commandments to be hung in every church. In my opinion, we need to understand our Jewish roots before we can be good Christians. I'm fond of saying we have to be understanding Jews before we can take that leap. And I sometimes understand what St. Paul went through when he's trying to make all these early Jews think, okay, now they're going to be Christians, and all the things they went through trying to figure out how do they do that? How do they go from this to this and end up following Christ? Well, we have in the church many, many things left over from those years. Of course, the 10 Commandments are the primary rule. There were hundreds of Hebrew food laws that every good Jew had to follow. And then Moses comes along and takes it from, I want to say 634 down to 10. And then Jesus comes along with the 2 great commandments. And then finally he says, just love one another. But the 10 Commandments are in many cultures in different forms. What we have are the ones that are written in the Book of Common Prayer. Early, they probably were split in half. The first 5 have to do with our relationship with God. The second 5 have to do with our relationship with each other. Some faith communities have lots of extra words. Some have very few words. But the 10 Commandments were hung in every church, and they were read out most Sundays, and the prayer book is pretty clear about when you are to read them out. My point is that they were read so often that everybody knew them, understood them. They were something to hold on to. They were something to live by. They kind of have the same effect on people when you listen to them that in some ways the 23rd Psalm can have. They're so familiar and they're so powerful that you just kind of calm down. You know, the endorphins just go, all right, it's okay. And so the 10 Commandments were very much the center. And then as the years go on, the canon law can be adapted or changed, and meeting in convention, the bishops and the laity can adjust the canon. So through the years, to the 10 Commandments, they added the Lord's Prayer and the Apostles' Creed. I don't know if you've ever taken time in the prayer book to read some of the other creeds. Some of them are much longer and much harder to deal with. So the Apostles' Creed was a good compromise, I think, and it fits nicely on the wall. But in some churches, you'll have just the 10 Commandments, especially the earliest ones. But here in this church, we have all 3. And they are in back of the altar, and they're a visual reminder. We say them quite often, but they are a visual reminder of faith, prayer, and law.